Stop, don't scroll. You didn't arrive here by accident. You arrived here because something in your morning today cried out for a word that hasn't been spoken yet, and that word is about to be spoken. God is sounding an alarm from heaven right now because you are literally one step away from losing the very thing you have been praying for. The algorithm didn't just place this in front of you. This was sent to intercept a silent loss before the day is over. It was sent specifically to address the heavy silence at the dinner table that has been slowly consuming the peace in your home. You wake up exhausted, carrying a physical heaviness in your chest that no amount of sleep can cure. You drag yourself out of bed, yet the fatigue is not in your muscles, it is in your spirit. The alarm clock feels like a daily reminder of a battle you are fighting alone. And every morning, you carry an invisible weight on your exhausted shoulders. You look in the mirror and see someone who has been fighting for so long, standing right on the threshold of the door, yet feeling completely drained of the strength needed to take the final step. This exhaustion has paralyzed your ability to see clearly, leaving you on the verge of making a rash, permanent decision based on temporary emotional fatigue. You have been standing on the edge of your breakthrough, but a blinding fog of confusion has made you consider dropping everything and walking away. You are contemplating letting go of the rope, giving up on the calling, and walking away completely unprotected. The cynic inside your mind whispers that it is too late anyway, convincing you to just let it all go and surrender the harvest right at the door. And this warfare isn't just staying in your mind, it has breached the walls of your home. You snap at your spouse and children in the living room over trivial things, bringing the spiritual war into the physical atmosphere of your safe space. You feel an unexplainable urge to isolate yourself from the people who love you the most, distancing yourself because you simply have no energy left to explain your silent battles. The tension is thick. The prayers that used to burn like fire now feel like empty words hitting a brass ceiling, and you are constantly anticipating bad news, staring at your phone with a sinking dread every time the notification sound rings. In the next few minutes, I will show you 3 things. First, I will describe where you have truly been in these last few months in a way that will make the silence finally make sense. Second, I will give you 3 Hebrew words that no one has taught you, and when you hear the final one, you will understand why you arrived here today. Third, I will seal 3 names upon you. If you leave before the end, you leave without the sealing. And there's a 4th thing I'll be placing in your hands before this message ends. Something that Solomon left, recorded for the child of God, who needs to cross this 11th hour, and that fits perfectly before your busy morning routine. It is not a book to study. It is an instrument to sustain the weight of the spirit of premature defeat when your strength fails. I'll come back to it. For now, stay. You have been planting seeds in the harsh winter of your soul, watering the frozen ground with your quiet sacrifices. But just as the soil is about to break and the harvest is ready to emerge, this profound spiritual exhaustion hits you. The adversary wants you to abandon the field right before the spring arrives, convincing you to walk away from the threshold just moments before the door swings open. Before I deliver this word to you, I need you to understand something. And concerning exactly this, concerning the heavy silence at the dinner table, concerning the tears hidden in the shower, concerning the notification sound that brings dread to your stomach, there is something Solomon left behind, a 2-minute key that fits into your ordinary day, and which I will show you further ahead. Tuck it away in the back of your mind, and if you need to leave before the end of this video, this instrument is already waiting for you in the first pinned comment, right down below. But I ask you to stay until the end, because without the context that is coming now, the key won't work with the same power in your hand. Have you ever felt that this spirit of premature defeat is not just human fatigue but a targeted spiritual attack? What if this pattern of dropping the blessing right when it is about to manifest is a sign that there is a battle against the purpose God has placed upon your life? While many try to explain this as burnout, a busy schedule, or a simple lack of discipline, few realize that the spirit of premature defeat doesn't attack you for what you have done, but for what God is building upon you. But what if the true reason for this overwhelming exhaustion is hidden precisely in what you haven't been able to see about your own life? Now think with me. What if everything you have gone through until today, the heavy silence at the dinner table, the tears hidden in the shower, the notification sound that brings dread, is the answer to that question you have carried for years. Why is the warfare so intense right now? It was while seeking answers to this that I found this digital guide called the Code of Solomon's Wisdom. This guide is not just a read, it is a key of spiritual understanding, an instrument made for those who wish to see beyond appearances, stop treating the spirit of premature defeat as just temporary emotional fatigue, and understand why the spirit of premature defeat attacks with such force against those who carry a mark of God. Several chosen ones here on the channel have already felt the call of this instrument to anchor their hope in the final stretch, but haven't yet made the decision to download the digital guide. Download it right now. It's available in the first pinned comment. If you're one of the first to download it, come back here and write Amen. That will be your act of faith. And today itself, God may show you the reason why the slow fading of your spiritual drive rose up against your life. Before I give you the word, I need you to recognize 5 things that are happening to you right now. These are not predictions. They are profound spiritual realities that you have been battling in secret behind closed doors. Pay close attention to each one of them, because if I am right about at least 3 of them, you and I will know exactly why you stopped here today and why this message was sent to you. The first sign is the exhaustion that sleeps with you and wakes up with you. You carry a physical heaviness in your chest that no amount of sleep can cure. You lie down tired and wake up even more drained, as if you had been fighting a physical war all night long. What seems like a mere medical issue or an ordinary case of professional burnout is actually a heavy, calculated spiritual drain. The adversary is attacking your physical vitality because he knows you are the anchor of your bloodline, and if the anchor breaks, the ship drifts into the storm. I declare a renewed strength over your body today. If you ignore this physical drain, it will slowly paralyze you right before you take the final step across the threshold. The second sign is the blinding fog that settles over your decision-making. You look at the life you have built and the calling you have fought for, and suddenly you are completely paralyzed. You are about to make a rash, permanent decision to quit based purely on temporary emotional fatigue. What appears to be a logical, rational conclusion to just cut your losses and walk away is actually the spirit of premature defeat playing tricks on your mind. It wants you to drop the blessing right when it is about to manifest in the physical realm. I decree a sharp clarity over your mind right now. If you surrender to this fog, you will abandon the field just moments before the harvest breaks through the frozen ground. The third sign is the heavy silence that has invaded your home. You snap at your spouse in the living room over something so small simply because you have absolutely no energy left to handle one more question. You walk into your house and bring a cloud of heaviness with you, sitting at the dinner table in a state of quiet distance. What feels like ordinary relationship stress is actually the enemy forcing you to isolate yourself from the people who love you the most. I declare peace and communion returning to your living room today. If you do not recognize this attack, the spiritual war will entirely consume the physical atmosphere of your safe space. And concerning this tension in your living room where you snap at your spouse that you recognized right now, I've already left the instrument waiting for you in the first pinned comment. If you need to leave before the end, it's there. But stay, because the Hebrew name of what's happening to you hasn't been said yet. And before I move on to the 4th and 5th sign, a brief pause. And beyond our digital book, Chosen One, you have here another way to strengthen this message that reached your home today, and to make it reach more and more chosen ones like you. We don't receive a single cent for every word I deliver to you here on this channel every day. As a way for you to give back something of what you receive here, we keep a voluntary donation link open right below the digital book in the first pinned comment. Any amount that fits your hand today, any sum your heart points to, that's what keeps our channel standing. That's what makes the next message reach another person who needs it, exactly as you needed it. I'll wait for you there, chosen one. Returning now to the 4th sign. The 4th sign is the notification sound that brings sudden dread to your stomach. You are constantly anticipating bad news, staring at your phone with a sinking feeling, waiting for the other shoe to drop. The prayers you used to pray with fire now feel like empty words hitting a brass ceiling, making you feel abandoned at the 11th hour. What feels like a loss of faith is actually the adversary trying to make you listen to the voice of fear instead of the voice of the covenant. I anchor your spirit back into the promises of God today. If you keep anticipating the worst, you will block the very miracle that is trying to reach your hands. The fifth sign is a quiet, desperate thought running on a loop in the back of your mind. I just can't do this anymore. You feel as though your endurance has completely run out, and the slow fading of your spiritual drive has stripped away your identity as a fighter. What seems like a final surrender is actually the greatest proof that you are terrifying to the enemy. The resistance is generational, and he is terrified of the legacy you are building. I decree that your true identity as a cycle breaker is being restored this very second. If you allow this quiet despair to win, the enemy will successfully silence the voice of the breakthrough in your bloodline. These 5 signs that you have just recognized are not symptoms of a permanent collapse. They are signs of a profound spiritual awakening. You are being pushed to the very edge because the door is about to swing open. And the name of what is awakening within you, the true weapon against this spirit of premature defeat, is contained in a single Hebrew word that has been guarded for centuries. Before I show you the instrument that Solomon left behind for the ordinary day, I need to give you the Hebrew name of what you carry. Because the instrument only makes sense after you know the name. Once you understand what this ancient word means, you will realize that holding on is a spiritual command, not just passive waiting. There is a word in the original Hebrew that changes absolutely everything you thought you knew about this battle. And what comes next will explain to you exactly why everything has happened in this specific order. And carrying this quiet despair alone for one more night, trying to battle the heavy silence at the dinner table, with nothing but your exhausted human strength, is not what Solomon prepared for you. He prepared something else, and this other thing is what I am going to hand you right now. It is not theory. It is an instrument. The Code of Solomon's Wisdom is the instrument that Solomon left behind for the child of God, who needs to cross the ordinary day without losing what they received in the secret place of intimacy. When you drop the blessing right when it is about to manifest in the physical realm, abandoning the field just before the harvest breaks through the frozen ground, you need an instrument to break the spirit of premature defeat. When you walk into your house and bring a cloud of heaviness with you, snapping at your spouse in the living room, over trivial things, because your energy is gone, you need an instrument to blind the spirit of premature defeat. When you are listening to the voice of fear instead of the voice of the covenant, contemplating letting go of the rope and walking away completely unprotected, you need an instrument to silence the spirit of premature defeat. And if you're feeling right now that this is exactly what you need, before I even continue, place your thumb now over the link in the first pinned comment. Don't click yet. Just place your thumb. Feel the weight of the decision before you make the decision. It is not a method designed to make you do more. It is an instrument designed to help you sustain more. It does not train you. It covers you. It shows you exactly where the spirit of premature defeat is operating in the shadows, long before that exhaustion turns into a permanent, wrong decision. It interrupts the vicious cycle of the spirit of premature defeat before it becomes the unbearable crisis of the next 11th hour, because the adversary does not wait for you to recover, and the next 11th hour arrives much sooner than it seems. And it comes with 2 seals for your home, not for your performance. The first seal is the ritual of the righteous sleep. It's an audio, you don't read it. You lie down, and what you used to call insomnia, today you'll call unsealed vigil, and you'll learn to seal the night with the right name in the right order in the right voice. The second seal is the awakening of clarity, the 7 morning decrees, 7 short phrases, 1 for each morning of the week, so you don't wake up again without identity. So you cross the first hour of the day with the posture of one who has been sent, and not with the posture of one who has been run over. And this hesitation you are feeling right now is not doubt. It is the spirit of premature defeat operating inside of you at this exact moment, pushing you to close the window and walk away from the threshold. You recognize this pattern. When it is time to pray, the overwhelming fatigue suddenly hits. When it is time to take hold of the promise, the fog of confusion rolls in to paralyze your steps. The hesitation you feel right now is the ultimate confirmation that you are standing precisely at the point where the breakthrough happens. And that is exactly why the next step exists. You have 7 full days to use it and feel the atmosphere shift. 7 complete days. If in 7 days the instrument hasn't touched the deep places that need to be touched inside of you, you return it. No questions asked, no justification needed. And the 2 seals, the ritual and the decrees, stay with you even if you return the guide. They are yours without condition. But I need to be direct with you. The real risk is not spending less than a Thursday lunch at the deli. The real risk is the next 11th hour arriving and you still standing there with empty hands. That is the risk that has a face. And it is about that face I need to speak with you right now. And perhaps you are asking yourself right now some questions that deserve an answer before we move forward. What if the breakthrough requires this exact instrument? What if God is waiting for you to pick up the very key that was prepared for this specific season, instead of constantly trying to pry the door open with your bare hands? What if trying to survive on your own strength is exactly what the enemy wants? He thrives when you are isolated and drained, believing that asking for a weapon is a sign of weakness rather than a strategy for victory. What if this small step of obedience is the hinge that swings the door open? Sometimes the heaviest doors turn on the smallest hinges, and your simple act of reaching for wisdom is the movement that shatters the brass ceiling. And still, if you only want the guide, it is enough on its own. But the complete house is built with all 3. A woman of 38, a freelance professional with no children, carrying the weight of her business alone, started using the guide after months of waking up with the heavy silence of exhaustion. In the first week, she slept through the night and woke up with a quiet confidence. She wrote me a single phrase. I thought it was just burnout. It was actually a spiritual siege. A man of 51, managing a large team and facing an impossible deadline, had been paralyzed by a blinding fog over his decision-making. After applying the key for 7 days, he finally made the tough call on a Tuesday morning with absolute peace. The phrase he sent me was, I called it professional caution. It was actually the voice of fear. A grandmother of 61, whose house is filled with her grandchildren every weekend, felt the tension in her living room turning every interaction into a hidden conflict. In her second week with the guide, she gathered them at the dinner table and spoke with an authority that shifted the entire atmosphere. She wrote, I believed the chaos was normal. Now I know it was an invasion. Perhaps 3 hours from now, you will be lying in bed again, staring at the ceiling with the notification sound that brings dread echoing in your mind, remembering that you saw this video and still did not reach out your hand. Perhaps in the next 11th hour, the spirit of premature defeat will strike again, and you will think, I knew what it was, I just didn't hold the instrument in my hand. Because the enemy attacks your body with fatigue, your mind with confusion, and your home with conflict, all at the same time to force a surrender. And the slow fading of your spiritual drive keeps arriving, with the same alarm clock, with the same morning coffee, with the same door opening in the next 11th hour. The link is in the first pinned comment pinned there for you. Not for everyone, for you. Whoever needs to cross the next 11th hour with the instrument in their hand clicks right now. And when you do this, when you open that link, you are not buying a book. You are accepting an instrument that Solomon prepared for your ordinary day. And what you will understand next, when you hear the Hebrew word that is coming right now, will completely change how you read everything that has happened to you up to this point. And before I give you the next word that's still coming now, because it's still coming and it weighs, I want to remind you of one thing, chosen one. As I told you earlier, beyond the digital book that's in the first pinned comment, there's that voluntary donation link open right below the book. We continue receiving not a single cent for every word I deliver here for you every day. That's why this link exists, chosen one, so that another person tomorrow finds exactly this word that found you today. Any amount your heart points to. Each gesture like that keeps our channel standing and makes the next message reach whoever needs it, exactly as it reached you today. And one more thing before we return to the message, I want you to know the following. From time to time here on our channel, I record a special honor video. A thank you video with a special word only to recognize the chosen ones who donated the most and those who acquired the digital book. All who sustained this word with me deserve that mention of gratitude for such a generous act. You sow here, heaven remembers you up there. and I remember you down here. I'll wait for you there at the link, again chosen one. And now finally the Hebrew word that will change everything. The Hebrew word that defines exactly what is happening to you in the unseen realm is tikvah. Say it with me slowly, right where you are. Tikvah. Tikvah means an active expectation, a strong rope, or a heavy anchor of hope. It is not just a simple dictionary translation that you read and forget. It is an ancient word that describes a powerful spiritual state, an unbreakable posture, a divine calling upon your life. And when you hear this word spoken out loud, you instantly recognize it in your spirit, because it was already happening deep inside of you. You just did not have the exact name to call it by. And about this word it is written in Psalm 4 verse 8, I will both lay me down in peace and sleep. For thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. It is not a distant promise for some unknown future that you have to wait for. It is an immediate, present declaration of state. The one who can truly say this phrase with their soul lying down in complete peace is the one who is safely secured under the name Tikvah. It is not the one who is desperately striving to be safe on their own strength. It is the one who is. Look at David. Do not look at him as the triumphant king wearing a crown of gold, but as the completely exhausted fighter, standing alone in the smoldering ashes of Ziklag. He had been running for his life for years, fighting intense battles that were not even his to fight, constantly carrying the heavy weight of hundreds of broken men on his exhausted shoulders. When he finally returned home, expecting a quiet moment of well-deserved rest, he found the city completely burned to the ground and his family taken away by the enemy. His physical strength was entirely gone, and the very men he had protected, fed, and bled for so long now spoke of stoning him in their deep grief. He was standing right on the precipice, facing the ultimate temptation to just let go of the rope and give up on everything. David was experiencing the exact same profound spiritual exhaustion that you feel right now. The spirit of premature defeat was suffocating him with the heavy silence of a destroyed home and the blinding fog of confusion. He was standing precisely at the 11th hour, entirely drained of his physical and emotional vitality, ready to surrender the harvest right at the door. But David did not succumb to the sudden urge to walk away completely unprotected. Instead of relying on his own depleted human strength, he anchored himself firmly in tikvah. He did not just pray a vague, desperate prayer into the empty wind. He actively asked for the ephod, a concrete instrument of profound spiritual discernment. He needed an operational key to hold the line in the darkness, a way to fight back when his body had absolutely nothing left to give. He needed a practical tool to cut through the dense fog and permanently silence the loud voice of fear that was screaming in his mind. He anchored his hope through an active command. In the middle of the ashes, while his men were weeping until they literally had no more power to weep, David radically shifted his posture. He put on the instrument, shutting out the blinding panic of the physical realm. He deliberately tuned his spirit to the voice of the covenant instead of the voice of defeat. He didn't wait for the physical exhaustion to magically pass. He boldly stepped into his God-given authority right there in the overwhelming tension of the ruined camp, pulling back the heavy silence that tried to crush him. He held fast to the scarlet cord of his calling, and because he did not drop the blessing at the threshold, the vicious cycle finally broke in half. His clarity returned with absolute, undeniable sharpness. The Lord gave him the command to pursue, and David recovered absolutely everything that the relentless enemy had tried to steal. He took back his family, his peace, and his entire destiny. The very next chapter of his life was the throne. The massive turnaround was waiting exactly one step past his deepest point of exhaustion. And what David did, you can do right now. Not because your battle is smaller, but because the key is the exact same. David had to improvise in the ashes to hold the line, but the instrument that Solomon left recorded is the exact same wisdom, and it is waiting for you right now in the first pinned comment. Remember the seed I told you about at the very beginning of this video? The one that felt utterly dead in the frozen ground during the harsh winter of your soul. This tikvah you have just received is the true name of the endurance you need. And the instrument that Solomon left behind is exactly how you cross that long, bitter winter without dropping the seed from your hands before the spring finally arrives and breaks the soil. And now that you have the name, and now that you understand exactly what is at stake today, I need to hand you three things. First, a simple summary of what has happened up to this point, then the specific type of your calling, and three names that will carry you safely through to the end of the year. Let's begin. Let me stop for a full minute and put everything you just heard in simple words. No poetry, no metaphor, just the facts. Fact 1. There is a spirit of premature defeat that drains your faith right before the victory, methodically attacking your physical endurance and mental clarity when you need them the most. Fact 2. It does this by lowering your taiki va, your anchored hope, creating a blinding fog of confusion so you cannot see the open door that is right in front of you. Fact 3. David was almost consumed by this exact same exhaustion at Ziklag, overwhelmed by the heavy silence of a destroyed camp and the desperate urge to surrender his calling. Fact 4. Your sudden urge to give up right now, based purely on temporary emotional fatigue, could be the final sentence that completely cancels the harvest you have been crying for. Now, with that said, let's move on to the type of your calling. There are three distinct types of calling that are being aggressively tested right now by the spirit of premature defeat. Each one of these callings receives a highly specific kind of attack in the spiritual realm. You are one of these three types. And when I name yours out loud, you will instantly recognize the exact battle you have been fighting in secret. The first type is the builder. You are building a legacy from the ground up, constructing something that will outlast you, and the attack is targeted directly at your finances and your physical endurance. You wake up exhausted, feeling like every single step forward requires moving a mountain, and you are constantly anticipating bad news because the enemy wants to drain your resources before the foundation is fully set. Does this resonate with the tension in your daily routine? This is the spirit trying to stop the legacy at the blueprint stage, ensuring you drop the tools right before the breakthrough. The second type is the intercessor. You are the one who prays for everyone else, the one who carries the heavy burdens of your family and friends, yet you feel completely abandoned in your own silent crisis. You snap at your spouse and children in the living room, not out of anger, but because you have absolutely no energy left to handle one more question, feeling like your own desperate prayers are hitting a brass ceiling. Have you felt this deep, suffocating isolation in your own home? This is the spirit trying to silence the voice that fights for others, making you believe God is ignoring you. The third type is the cycle breaker. You are the very first in your bloodline to stand up and break the curse, so the resistance you face is entirely generational. The cynical whisper in your mind, telling you to just let it all go, is not just your fatigue, it is the accumulated weight of past generations trying to force a surrender right at the threshold of the door. Do you feel this heavy, unexplainable urge to quit everything today? This is the spirit terrified of the new cycle you are about to start, attacking you with a quiet despair. You are feeling the profound intensity of what is happening right now in your spirit. This tightness in your chest that came when I mentioned the first type. This sudden, undeniable heat that rushed over you when I described the third. This is not a sign that something is fundamentally wrong with your faith. This is a sign of the massive capability you have to transform your environment. You are only attacked regarding what you are capable of transforming. The heavier the attack, the more dangerous you are to the cycle that tried to silence you. Those who feel it weakly have a weak turnaround. Those who feel it strongly have a monumental turnaround. And concerning your specific type, heaven had already sealed three names that will carry you safely through the spiritual warfare to the end of this year, giving solid, unbreakable shape to your identity when the spirit of premature defeat tries to dissolve your drive. You are the anchor of the bloodline. When the violent storm of confusion hits and the spirit of premature defeat tries to sweep everything you love away, you are the one who firmly holds the rope and refuses to drift. The enemy desperately wants you to let go, but you anchor the hope of your entire family in the solid rock of the promise. You are the anchor of the bloodline who stands firm with tikva. When everyone else in the house is ready to surrender to the heavy silence, you are the keeper of the threshold, The blinding fog tries to obscure the door and make you walk away, but you stand exactly at the entrance, fiercely guarding the transition between the old cycle of pain and the new harvest of blessings. You do not abandon the field just before the spring arrives. You maintain your unshakable position until the manifestation occurs in the physical realm. You are the keeper of the threshold who ensures the crown is not dropped at the 11th hour. You are the voice of the breakthrough. Your prayers may feel like they are hitting a brass ceiling right now, but they are the very sound that shatters the unseen resistance. The heavy silence at the dinner table cannot withstand the divine authority you carry in your words. You are the voice of the breakthrough who speaks profound peace into the chaos, dismantling the generational chains and commanding the heavy fog to finally lift from your home. But the anchor of the bloodline has a critical vulnerability, and this vulnerability is exactly what the enemy targets in the middle of the night. The vulnerability of the anchor of the bloodline is the overwhelming exhaustion that tempts you to simply let go of the rope, dropping the blessing right when it is about to manifest, and walking away completely unprotected. When the tears hidden in the shower become too much, the urge to isolate yourself and quit feels like the only logical choice to escape the pain. And what Solomon left for you to completely cover this specific vulnerability is not a massive book for you to study while you are already emotionally drained. It is an applied ritual, an instrument of wisdom designed to permanently sustain your grip when your human strength fails. It is the key that locks the door against the spirit of premature defeat and restores your active expectation. The link to the Code of Solomon's Wisdom is waiting for you in the first pinned comment right down below. It is the instrument that brings the ritual of the righteous sleep and the 7 morning decrees directly into your hands, sealing your mind and your home before the 11th hour exhaustion takes over. And there are 3 more things that need to be said before I send you. If one of these 3 names hit you harder, write the number below, 1, 2, or 3. But before I send you, there are 3 specific tactics that the adversary is going to use against the 3 names I have just sealed upon you. He knows he cannot unseal what heaven has spoken, so he will try to make you surrender your position voluntarily through these 3 calculated illusions. The first tactic is the illusion of wasted time. He will constantly push you to look at the calendar and compare your timeline with the timeline of everyone else around you. He wants you to believe that because the battle has taken so long, the window of opportunity has permanently closed. The spirit of premature defeat will whisper that your sacrifices have expired and that continuing to hold the rope now is just foolish pride. He uses the illusion of wasted time to make you drop the blessing out of sheer impatience. The second tactic is weaponizing the heavy silence of God. Between the moment you gave your internal yes and the physical manifestation of the promise, there is a gap of profound silence. The adversary will take this exact silence at the dinner table and interpret it for you as divine rejection. He will try to convince you that the reason the prayers feel like they are hitting a brass ceiling is because God has walked away, turning the quiet waiting period into a heavy, suffocating isolation. The third tactic is the overwhelming urge to quit exactly 24 hours before the turnaround. The adversary can sense the proximity of the breakthrough. He knows exactly when the door is about to swing open, and he will concentrate all his attacks, the fatigue in your body, the tension in your home, the dread in your mind, into a single, unbearable window. He intensifies the pressure to a breaking point right now because he knows you are standing at the absolute final stretch of the 11th hour. To dismantle the illusion of wasted time, you need the decree of redeemed time. This weapon actively shifts your timeline out of the hands of the clock and places it into the hands of the covenant. It stops the comparison dead in its tracks, securing the truth that nothing you have sown in tears has been lost in the waiting. When the whisper of wasted time comes, you will firmly declare, "My time is not bound by the calendar, it is secured in the harvest." To counter the weaponized silence, you use the weapon of the scarlet cord. This is the practical application of your tikveh, teaching you how to anchor yourself firmly in the last word God spoke to you, even when the current atmosphere is completely quiet. It turns the heavy silence from a sign of abandonment into a space of active preparation. When the silence gets deafening, you declare, "I anchor my home to the promise," and the silence is just the space making room for the miracle. To break the final attack right before the turnaround, you deploy the midnight praise. This is not singing a song when everything is going well. This is the radical, violent resistance of praising right in the middle of the deepest exhaustion. It permanently shatters the urge to quit because it completely blinds the spirit of premature defeat. When the fatigue is paralyzing, you declare, "My endurance is not human. It is sustained by the Lord of the 11th hour." And these three weapons alone are memory. With the instrument, they become covering. Recognizing the cycle of the spirit of premature defeat, without having the instrument that Solomon left is receiving the diagnosis without the treatment. It is waking up facing the problem without the medicine on the nightstand. And even more. There are 4 more tactical weapons besides these that I cannot open up here. Not for lack of time. For density, each one needs its own page with the exact counter-weapon, and while I don't deliver these 4 here, the spirit of premature defeat knows them all. The guide delivers them. When the urge to quit is overwhelming, the Code of Solomon's wisdom provides the anchor that keeps you from making a rash, permanent decision based on temporary fatigue. When the silence in the house is deafening, the instrument shifts the atmosphere in your living room so you do not snap at the people who love you the most. When you don't even have the strength to pray, the guide sustains the weight of the spiritual warfare for you. The recognition without the instrument leaves you exactly where you have always been, knowing the name, but with empty hands. And that is why there is one last obstacle that needs to be named before you say amen. The greatest trap in this final stretch is not a loud, aggressive attack. It is a subtle whisper inside your own mind, the fear of seeming ungrateful. You will hesitate to use the weapons or ask for more strength because the adversary will convince you that crying out now means you do not appreciate what God has already done. He makes you feel guilty for being exhausted, turning your own conscience against you. This fear paralyzes you, making you passively accept the spirit of premature defeat just to prove you are a good servant, slowly draining your faith right before the victory. But before I release you, there is one last point. Close your eyes right where you are and do not open them until I tell you. I want you to place your right hand firmly over your chest. Feel the heavy, steady beat of your heart under your hand, because that beat is the rhythm of a survivor who is standing exactly at the threshold of the greatest open door. I surrender to you the overwhelming exhaustion that has relentlessly accumulated in these last few months. I release the heavy silence at the dinner table and the desperate tears hidden in the shower. I hand over the physical heaviness in my chest that no amount of sleep could ever cure. I let go of the deep shame of feeling like I was failing my calling when my body simply had absolutely no more energy left to fight the blinding fog of confusion. I will not go back. I will not retreat. I will not give up exactly 24 hours before the turnaround. I permanently sever the illusion of wasted time and the cynical lie that my quiet sacrifices have expired in the waiting. I anchor my hope with the scarlet cord right now, and I declare that the spirit of premature defeat will not make me drop the blessing at the 11th hour. I am staying right here until the harvest breaks through the frozen ground. I release you from the fear of seeming ungrateful. This is the most subtle chain. The fear that by seeking to hold fast and asking for more strength, you are telling God that what He already did wasn't enough. It's a lie. Your immediate obedience to hold fast is the greatest act of gratitude. It is saying, "Father, I value so much what comes from you that I refuse to leave it in the waiting room." Declare this in a low voice right now. My urgency is my gratitude. And I receive now the 3 names that were permanently sealed upon me by heaven: the anchor of the bloodline, the keeper of the threshold, the voice of the breakthrough. Not for me to arrogantly boast about, for me to remember, for me to cross what is coming with them boldly in my mouth, in my posture, and in my chest, silencing the notification sound that brings dread and stepping completely into my true spiritual authority. And before the voice that comes now, I need you to hear something very clearly. The intense severity of what you have gone through in these last few months is not proof that something is fundamentally wrong with you. It is proof that you are exactly where you always knew you were, someone who carries something large enough that the generational cycle desperately wanted to silence it. You were not attacked by accident. You were attacked precisely where your identity intends to manifest, with the greatest force. The heavier the attack, the more dangerous you are to the cycle that tried to paralyze you. The overwhelming pressure you felt was not a sign of weakness. It was a sign of proximity, the absolute proximity of the turnaround. If this hits you now, if you can feel the heavy chains of the spirit of premature defeat shattering in your mind at this exact moment, I want you to write below. I receive the turning. I saw you when you sat on the edge of your bed in the deep darkness of the 11th hour, staring at the floor, feeling the slow fading of your spiritual drive. I watched the desperate tears you hid in the shower so your family wouldn't see the crushing depth of your exhaustion, and I felt the exact moment you snapped at your spouse in the living room because the tension was simply too heavy to carry alone. I saw the blinding fog of confusion settle over your mind, violently tempting you to just let go of the rope and walk away unprotected. I never lost sight of you. I never withdrew my hand from your life, and I never closed the seat reserved for you at my table. Even when the heavy silence at your dinner table made you feel completely abandoned and isolated in your own home, I was right there, standing with you in the smoldering ashes of your Ziklag, holding the line while you gathered your breath. What you called a profound spiritual exhaustion, I called the necessary emptying before the unprecedented overflow. What you called a terrifying delay that made your prayers hit a brass ceiling, I called the precise, calculated alignment of your monumental harvest. What you called the overwhelming urge to quit 24 hours before the victory, I called the final defining test of your anchored hope, preparing you for the undeniable authority that comes next. Your name is permanently engraved on the palms of my hands. You are not a disappointment. You are the one chosen to break the cycle. The chair at the head of the table is yours. My pride in you has never been withheld. Now, wipe your face, pick up the instrument I left for you, and take the final step across the threshold, because the door is already wide open. And there is a quiet, cynical voice speaking inside of you right now, a voice that says, "This is not for me. This is for someone who has a stronger faith." I need you to hear this from me right now. You have permission. You have permission to receive what you did not earn. You have permission to occupy the chair at the table without having to justify your deep exhaustion. You have permission to let the version of you die that needed to suffer just to feel worthy. Solomon did not prepare this instrument for those who are perfectly strong. He prepared it for those who are tired. And the one who is tired is you right now. I now extend my hand toward your home and decree a covering of sealing over everything that belongs to you, over your table, so that every meal will be an act of communion and not of anxiety, and that the conversations that happen there will be seasoned with wisdom from above, permanently breaking the heavy silence at the dinner table. I declare a covering over your children and your spouse, if you have them. May your obedience tonight become an unbreakable mantle of protection over them. May they feel the physical atmosphere of your living room change, the weight of the conflict lift entirely, and the profound lightness of God's presence enter where the spirit of premature defeat tried to reign. And I decree a covering over your work, over your hands, over every project and opportunity. May the anchored hope you learned here unlock massive breakthrough in your workplace. May your immediate obedience to hold fast become your greatest qualification in the eyes of men and in the eyes of God. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. Before I release you, I want you to walk with me to a room that you have not yet seen with your physical eyes. Do not force it. Just let the image arrive. There is a long, heavy wooden table. Light is coming from somewhere you cannot quite identify. There are people seated at the table. Some you have fiercely loved, some you have not yet met. Their faces look like family, and there is a chair near the head of the table, entirely empty. The shape of you is carved into it. The wood remembers you. David is standing right near the head. You are not making this scene up in your mind. You are remembering it. The chair has always been yours. It was always you. Don't say amen yet. Sit in this for a moment. Feel the weight of what just happened. Allow the heavy silence that once suffocated your dinner table to be replaced by the profound peace of this room. Now, you may say amen. That dinner table the father just returned to you, it is still exposed. I want you to hear something before you close this video, because there's a phrase the adversary will whisper in your ear in the next 3 hours. I'll name that phrase now so you don't fall for it. But before the phrase, there is something you need to receive. What was sealed here now will be tested in the next 11th hour. The Code of Solomon's wisdom is waiting for you in the first pinned comment, right down below, with the ritual of the righteous sleep and the awakening of clarity, for less than a coffee with a biscuit, because the anchor of the bloodline without covering rots in the next 11th hour. And the adversary counts on the 11th hour. It is not an expense, it is an instrument. And Solomon prepared it for you to cross what is coming with a firm hand, not with an empty hand, with a full 7-day guarantee. The risk is ours. The hand is yours. Click right now, while the decree is still alive in your chest. Not tomorrow, not after the shower where you hide your tears, because whoever leaves it for later leaves it for never, and the adversary already knows this. In the next 3 hours he will speak inside you, not with a loud voice. In sequence, 5 short phrases. You are just too tired to continue. Let it go, it's not worth the pain. God isn't answering anyway. Nobody will blame you if you quit. You can always try again next year. 5 waves. He tries from 5 angles. In one you yield. Today now before the next 11th hour, not later, today, and Solomon will sustain it with you. And now, the last word of this video. And in the next word I'm going to bring to this channel, I will give you the 4 specific signs of the spirit of premature defeat operating in your bloodline. Whoever heard this word today needs to hear that one in sequence, because what comes next is not a continuation. It is a deepening. Click on the video that will appear on the screen in a few seconds. And still in this video, chosen one, before I seal this hour with you, I return one last time to this request. You walked with me until here. You crossed every word, every decree, every sign, and if at any moment of this message you felt heaven touch you, you know this video was no accident. The voluntary donation link continues open in the first pinned comment, right below the digital book. Not as a charge, not as exchange. As the chosen ones return to the altar from which the word came forth, any amount your heart points to, and heaven sees every gesture. Heaven sees, and heaven multiplies it over your home, over your days, over what you don't yet know is coming. That was my last request. I'll wait for you there, chosen one, and when this happens, and it will happen soon, you will remember this moment, and before you go, think of one specific person. Not many. One. The person whose name just arrived to you when I said this. The person who has been in silence, faithful without being seen. The person whose anointing has also attracted attacks that have no name. Someone who has been coming home carrying a weight that is not theirs. Someone who needs the exact same sealing you just received. Send this video to them. They are waiting for this word to arrive. And when that person opens this video, they will need what you just received, including the instrument that Solomon left behind. It might be what opens their cycle too. It is not a favor from you. It is service. And heaven sees. So comment below, Amen, received. And send this video to that specific person who came to mind. It is done. What was delivered here has been delivered. You are not the same person you were when you pressed play. You are profoundly loved. You were never forgotten. The chair is yours, and thus it is sealed. The next 11th hour can wait another 10 seconds.